What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's daily market recap. In today's episode, I'm going to break down each of my trades from this morning. Today, I traded 2, 4, 6, 8 different stocks, and I got the day off to a pretty rough start. I went into the red before rallying back into the green, only to fall back into the red a second time before getting back to green, and then back to red a third time before back to green. This was a tricky day. So let's start breaking it down. Let's jump onto the screen share. Right now, we've got Mullen up a remarkable 200%. This is a stock with one of the most well-established histories of dropping that I've really ever seen. I mean, essentially what this company does is they keep doing reverse splits so the stock can never go to zero. So they do a reverse split, the stock goes lower. They do a reverse split, the stock goes lower. Now, the reality is when you have a company that has done this to this extent, you do get to a point where it's possible that you could see a little bounce off the low. I suppose we would call it a dead cat bounce. And this would be like throwing a cat off the tallest building in the world. And its bounce right here is like 1.5 feet. So in the grand scheme of things, we're not talking about much of a bounce. But you zoom in close enough and it is a 200% candle. So, however, I did not trade Mullen today. I would have considered it, but pre-market, there was no action on it. And then it just kind of started creeping away here, halted a couple times, and just sort of moved a little too quickly for me. So I just sort of missed it. And it was initially on lighter volume. So anyways, so let's go back to the beginning of the day. All right, so first stock that I traded today, BAOS. Now, I'm not a big fan of this stock. It's a Chinese company. It's got a history of popping up and dropping. We traded it back in May, and it was a little tricky then as well. So this morning, when I first sat down, it had already squeezed up. As you can see here, it ramped up after hours, and then pre-market, back up, and up to here. And so what I ended up doing was buying off of this ascending support line. That was my first trade. So I broke the ice with my first trade this morning, getting in down there. I think it was like, it was something like, where was that? No, I can't remember. It was somewhere in this area. But then right at 7 a.m. at the top of the hour here, I jumped in as it broke 550 and I was looking for a squeeze up to 6. And on that setup right there, as you could see, it rejected pretty violently back down to 5. And so I took a loss on my first trade of $2,000, which was, I think, right around here. And then I took a loss on the second trade of $8,000. So I started the day in the red, $10,000. All right, so what's my max daily loss? Max daily loss tends to be, I think of it as, I don't want to lose more than I can make in one good day. So I asked myself, how much am I making on a typical day? Well, on Monday, I made $275,000. So I guess that's my max loss. No, that's a joke. I do not want to allow myself to lose that much. But I am comfortable losing $25,000. My daily average this whole year right now is about $27,000 a day. So losing $25,000 in one day is not losing more than I can make in one decent day. So $25,000 is mentally my line in the sand. Now, I've certainly had bigger red days than that in the past when I was comfortable taking more risk. But as I sit right now, I really don't want to lose more than $25,000. So being down 10 grand on my first trade, not great. But not terrible. I can tolerate that. And honestly, the only emotion I was feeling really was a bit of confusion at why. That's odd. I really, we've had such incredible strength. And then to have that kind of rejection, I was like, I didn't really see that coming. So then, and here's my P&L for the day. It's sitting right now at $33,987.05. I peaked at $39,000, so I'm down about $5,000 off the top. All right, gave back a little off the top. That's my cue to walk away. So first trade on BAOS put me down $10,000 on the morning. Second trade, MCTR, which is the stock that I'm actually up the most on. So MCTR was day 2 continuation of a Chinese small cap stock that is a recent IPO. It's a recent IPO. It's Chinese. It's low float. This is like blue sky setup. It's the trifecta. And this thing made a huge move yesterday into the afternoon from 12 all the way up to 32, pulled back, popped up after hours to a high of 49, and then sold off. This morning pops up, pulls back, pops up, pulls back, and boom, right there. Got that trade. Fantastic. From 42 up to a high of $56 a share. All right, so that put me in a nice spot on the day. So I got $20,000 out of MCTR. However, I also had this, let's see. So I got my first trade on MCTR. I took a few trades on it. So my first trade on MCTR was actually at 7 a.m. That was right here. This was a first trade. So I got in as it was curling right here, right about 7 a.m. And I was looking for the break of 42. So I jumped in, jumped out. It didn't end up sustaining. It double topped, but that was still a winning trade. So with that trade, I was not green on the day, but I recovered some of the loss. And then with my next trade, I got in NCEW. And after NCEW, which I made $7,000 on, I was back into the green on the day. So this is a lower float stock here, squeezing up, as you can see right there. Got a trade on it on that squeeze, made $7,000, put me green on the day. I was like, all right, I'm feeling good. Now this is what I was looking for. And then I take a trade on UKA and I lose 10 grand. Shoot, now that's not good. So what happened on this one? Chinese stock popping up, recent reverse split. It felt like it kind of matched the theme of what's been working. It squeezes up right here. I jumped in at 350. It goes up to 380 and then big reversal. So I lost about 50 cents a share on that, on 25,000 shares, $10,000 approximately. So $10,000 so now I'm back in the red. I'm not at my low a day, but I am back in the red. So not pleased with that. But, fear not. We're in a market with a lot of momentum. And next thing we know, STSS pops up. We got a micro pullback on it right down there at 4. And this thing rips all the way up to 750. Made $12,000 on it. Fantastic. Not bad at all. Well, except for one little problem. The one little problem is that I added back 30,000 shares right here. And it drops down like that. And I gave back the 12,000 I made. So I made 12,000 on it. And then I went to red like $2,000 on it. Bounces back up, pops up, drops down, pops up, drops down. And I got back in here and it curled up and I made back 10,000. So now I'm back to up 10,000 on the day. So you can see how this day is a little bit of a roller coaster. Again, not really sure why we've been seeing such incredible momentum these last few weeks, but I don't know. I'm not really sure. Today was just a little different. And then that fed into the trade on MCTR, which is what put me solidly in the green right there. That was at 8 a.m. So that was great. And then after that, a couple more trades on STSS. And then following that trade, KWM. KWM, I was up $17,000 on, gave back 5 grand off the top. So this is a blue sky recent IPO setup as well, as you can see right here. We got a squeeze on it right through here where I made about $7,000 buying the pullback. I gave back a little profit up here and then jumped back in right here and got myself up to 17,000 on the day and then tried to buy this dip here for the curl back up and gave back 5 grand. So, just really tricky. It was this area right here where I gave back that profit. So, and then that was the last stock that I traded. And it looks like in between there, we had, there was a trade on PNTM, which was a recent IPO, and CDT, which had news, but neither were huge winners. So I found it surprising that today was as choppy as it was, considering we had such impressive momentum yesterday on MCTR. I thought this was going to be kind of like SBET, where we would have a second day of really good continuation. And that's why I was really getting aggressive on this, thinking, all right, up here at 55.60, are we going to see a squeeze? What's this going to do? And then it just sort of stalled out. So what I would say today is that attention was definitely dispersed across the market. In fact, if you look at the volume of our top 10 leading gappers, they've all got a lot of volume. So traders are doing a little bit of jumping from stock to stock to stock. Got some action here, then got some action there, and then here, and then there. And so, the fact that I traded 8 different stocks definitely speaks to this sort of scattered attention. Usually when I have a really good day, it's because there's one stock that I've just completely crushed because that stock was so obvious. And then after that, there's a couple sympathy stocks I can add some more profit on. Today, yes, I did well on MCTR, but it wasn't, I don't think you could say that it was really the most obvious stock today. Yesterday it was, but not today. I did well on it, but it wasn't the most obvious. KWM, I guess it's the most obvious. It's got a higher float. However, it's a recent IPO, so it trades like a lower float. That's very common. But still, not the cleanest when you think about it. WHLR, well, Wheeler Investment Trust, this is a REIT. There it is. This is a stock that's got a history, just like Mullen, of selling off. And the problem with these bounces, it's only 1 million shares of volume. It's light volume. I can't take big size on that. And so therefore I can't really make good money on it. Mullen, it's got more volume now, but earlier this morning it didn't have much volume here, and I didn't think I could really make anything on it. Now, maybe I could have right in there, but in any case, I don't know. Today just felt like dispersed attention. And so on the one hand, we've got some Chinese stocks that have been giving us some action. We've got some recent IPOs that have been giving us some action. And then we still have a couple of biotech stocks that were popping up. So now we sort of are split between too many different things. And so as we go in towards the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, the question's going to be, what is obvious? And I thought BAOS was obvious coming into the open. Or 7 a.m., the open for most retail traders. So I was surprised it didn't retest that ascending resistance line at the least. I just thought it would retest that level at least. And it didn't. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe, but again, this is a Chinese company with no news. So, but MCTR yesterday with no news. So I thought that it made sense that it would give us a nice move. So anyways, I think the price action today, just a little bit more mixed. Overall market, hanging in there. So, no issue there right now. It's just, when it comes to some of these small cap names, when attention gets dispersed, you don't see usually as nice and clean of price action versus when everyone is focusing on like one or two stocks. So, hopefully, Thursday or Friday, we'll have a company that comes out with the type of headline that I can really like sink my teeth into and feel good about. But today's a great day. $33,987.05. That's a great day. My daily goal for a hot market is 20,000 a day. I'm trying to maintain that average of 20,000 a day this year so I can have a $5 million year. That's what I'm going for. But as you know, this month, 278 on Monday, 147,000 yesterday. I took a few more trades in the afternoon. So finishing I'm starting with $425,000 on the month. Plus today, it's going to put me over 450 on the month. So halfway just about to the $1 million goal for the month of June. And, days like today are great, but days like Monday and Tuesday are what will put me up over that goal real quick. So, we'll see what happens. But at this point, we've definitely got some good momentum. I'm sitting at 2.9 million on the year. So, more than 50% of the way to the $5 million goal, maintaining accuracy is 73% here. Average holders are 3 minutes for winners, 2 minutes for losers. I'm cutting them quick. Biggest single trade winner, $127,000. That was this week. Biggest single trade loser, 18,000. That might have been last week. But sitting in really good shape here. So I know what I need to do, step up to the plate when things are moving, but also be willing to hunker down on days when it's a little slower. So it was a little slower today. I definitely, put myself into the red and had to dig my way out. But I think, and I actually said this yesterday, even if I had a day where I went red $40,000 or $50,000, which I certainly hope I don't, if it happened on my first trade, I might still have a chance at recovering a good chunk of that loss as long as I was able to maintain composure and stay calm, cool, and collected. Because there's been so many opportunities throughout the day. So if I took my first loss at 7 a.m. and I still have 2-3 hours left of really good, my strong window of profitability, I should be able to do okay. And so those big losses were on the early side, except for that $5,000 loss on KWM at the end of the morning. But overall, we had action today. It was just a little bit more like sort of hot potato, jumping from stock to stock to stock, and not seeing as much continuation or as big of extensions as we've seen earlier in the week. So something to pay attention to, but it also comes back to the catalyst. How strong is the news? So maybe today we just didn't have any stocks with really strong enough catalyst. So as always, you want to watch over my shoulder. You want to use this software, Day Trade Dash, my scanners, the charts, the news feed, everything else. Make sure you check out the 2-week trial, 2 weeks for $20. You're going to learn a lot. All right, so check that out. Link will be posted at the top of the comments. And if you want to check out another recent upload that I've posted here on YouTube, I'll post that right here, and I'll put another one in the corner there so you guys can check those out. And I will see you back at it live streaming tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Reminder as always, trading is risky, so please trade in a simulator before ever putting real money on the line.